7:6, 24.
7th Canto, Chapter 6. Lord instructs his demoniac schoolmates. Text number 24. I don't know if it's written anywhere, but somebody could find it on your phone. 7:6, 24. Tasmat saveshu bhuteshu dayam kuruta shoridam bhavam asuram anmuchya yayatusyat dokshaja. Tasmat saveshu bhuteshu dayam kuruta sauridam bhavam asuram anmucha yayatu syatyat hoksaja. Someone else? Don't have to.
7:6, 24.
Tasmat sarveshu bhuteshu dayam kuruta sohritam bhavam asuram anmuchya yayatu shatya doksaja.
Tasmat sarveshu bhuteshu dayam kuruta sohritam bhavam asuram anmuchya yayatusyati dokshaja.
Tasmat sarveshu bhuteshu dayam kuruta sarvidam bhavamasuram unmuchya yayatusyati yadhokshaja.
Tasmat sarveshu bhuteshu dayam kuruta sohridam bhavam asuram unmuchya yayatusyati adokshaja.
Tasmat. Therefore. Salveshu. To all. Bhuteshu. Living entities. Dayam. Mercy. Kuruta. Show. Suridam. Friendliness. Bhavam. The attitude. Asuram. Of the demons. Who separate friends and enemies. Anucha, giving up. Yaya, by which Tushyati is satisfied. Adhoksajaha, the Supreme Lord who is beyond the perception of the senses. Translation. Therefore, my dear young friends born of demons, please act in such a way that the Supreme Lord, who is beyond the conception of material knowledge, will be satisfied. Give up your demoniac nature and act without enmity or duality. Show mercy to all living entities by enlightening them in devotional service, thus becoming their well-wisher. Purport. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 18:55, Bhaktyamam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tattvataha. One can understand the Supreme Personality as He is only by devotional service. The Lord Maharaj ultimately instructed his class friends, the sons of the demons, to accept the process of devotional service by preaching the science of Krishna consciousness to everyone. Preaching is the best service to the Lord. The Lord will immediately be extremely satisfied with one who engages in this service of preaching Krishna consciousness. Okay, I'm going to read this again. Preaching is the best service to the Lord. The Lord will immediately be extremely satisfied with one who engages in this service of preaching Krishna consciousness. This is confirmed by the Lord Himself in Bhagavad Gita 18:69. Nachatasman manushyeshu kaschin me priya kritamaha. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. If one sincerely tries his best to spread Krishna consciousness by preaching the glories of the Lord and his supremacy, even if he is imperfectly educated, he becomes the dearmost servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is bhakti. As one performs this service for humanity without discrimination between friends and enemies, the Lord becomes satisfied and the mission of one's life is fulfilled. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore advised everyone to become a guru devotee and preach Krishna consciousness. Yare deka kare kaha Krishna upadesh. This is the easiest way to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By such preaching, the preacher becomes satisfied, and those to whom he preaches are also satisfied. This is the process of bringing peace and tranquility to the entire world. Oktaram yagatapasam savaloka maheshwaram suridam sarvabhutanam gyatvam shantam mushyati. One is expected to understand these three formulas of knowledge concerning the Supreme Lord, that He is the Supreme Enjoyer, that He is the proprietor of everything, and that He is the best well-wisher and friend of everyone. A preacher should personally understand these truths and preach them to everyone. Then there will be peace and tranquility all over the world. The word suridam, friendliness, is very significant in this verse. People are generally ignorant of Krishna consciousness, and therefore, to become their best well-wisher, one should teach them about Krishna consciousness without discrimination. Since the Supreme Lord Vishnu is situated in the core of everyone's heart, everybody is a temple of Vishnu. One should not misuse this understanding as an excuse for such words as Daridra Narayana. If Narayan lives in the house of a Daridra, a poor man, this does not mean that Narayan becomes poor. He lives everywhere, in the houses of the poor and those of the rich. But in all circumstances he remains Narayan. To think that he becomes either poor or rich is a material calculation. He is always Sat Aishvarya Purna, full in 6 opulences in all circumstances. Okay, so now. Therefore, my dear young friends, born of demons, please act in such a way that the Supreme Lord, who is beyond the conception of material knowledge, will be satisfied. Give up your demoniac nature and act without enmity or duality. Show mercy to all living entities by enlightening them in devotional service, thus becoming their well-being. Anyway, I'm not feeling well, but I'm going to try and do the class. Everything is, we have how many gates? 9 gates in this body. And I have liquid pouring out of a few of them. Huh? Yeah. Okay. So, a few things in the verse itself. I like that friends born of demons. Now, demons are different than the innocent. In other words, a demon may, eat meat, may do so many bad things, and an innocent person may also do these same things. But they're not considered demons. There are 4 classes of people. One is there's the demons, there's the innocent, there's the devotees. I can't, my brain ain't working. Is it 3 or 4?
There's different classifications. The 4 kinds, I don't know which 4 you're talking about.
Well then,
The
beside,
Madhyama Adhikari sees 4.
yeah,
It's the God, the living entity.
I can't hear you.
Innocent, right?
yeah, what is, not the Uttamadhikari. Uttamadhikari sees just one.
I said Madhyama.
Madhyama Adhikari, yes. They make these distinctions between the innocent, the demons, the devotees, and the Lord. That's it. I'm telling you, it's a little foggy here. And the fog sometimes is wet. And it's coming out. But, so this, we have to, as preachers, because this whole purport deals with preaching, but as preachers, we have to make these distinctions. We have to see the Lord, and what do? We offer obeisances, we serve the Lord. We act differently with all 4 of these. We see the devotees, we associate with the devotees. We exchange thoughts about Krishna and philosophical ideas. We discuss about Krishna. So these are devotees association. The innocent, we try to help the innocent to become devotees, even though they're doing abominable things. They don't realize it's so bad. And then the demons, they're doing it, and there's no way they're going to change. Now, it's even in our scriptures, we don't preach to the faithless. So the faithless are really the demons. But here Prahlad is talking to the sons of the demons. They are going to become demons. But if you get them at the right point, when they're young enough, they can be also, even the sons of demons can become devotees. So it's nice, oh my dear sons of the demons. How says that? Give up your demoniac nature and act without enmity or duality. Okay, let's go to purport. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 18:55, Bhakti Amam Abhijanati Yavan Yaschakrataka. One can understand the Supreme Personality as he is only by devotional service. So Prahlad Maharaj ultimately instructed his class friends, the sons of the demons, to accept the process of devotional service by preaching the science of Krishna consciousness to everyone. I'm reading some things about book distribution. Every day during this month I've been getting things about book distribution. And one thing is they were thinking of how to teach others how to distribute books. So they talked to Prabhupada how we have some ways, some mechanical ways to, like we do this. Hey, where are you coming in from? Where, you know, when they're at the airport, or hey, do you live? Are you from here or are you from out of town? You don't give them a question where they can say no. So you have to say, are you from here or are you from out of town? So that way, whatever they answer is the correct answer. Great, well, we're passing these out. You know, but this is mechanical. And they, to ask Prabhupada, you know, because they would actually, and I've been to these classes, they have two devotees, one playing the non-devotee, and the other the devotee, and how he distributes a book to him. I remember seeing different devotees doing this. I remember Sura, he passed away not so long ago, maybe a couple of years or a year. But I remember thinking I would definitely take a book from him. He was really funny, no matter what you were, he's it. And I remember Tripurari, who was the incarnation of book distribution. I remember saying I wouldn't take a book from him, because he seemed too sneaky, he seemed like he was up to something. I didn't trust him. Anyway, Prabhupada said that no, you just teach them how to be sincere. That's all. Teach them how to be sincere. If you're a sincere devotee and you're trying to help people by giving them knowledge. Also, we're giving them knowledge. We're not just taking money. We're not beggars. Prabhupada said, I was never a beggar. I've always a giver. Even at MIT, he said this. When they're at MIT, this is back in the the late 60s. But at MIT, now this is like a very, very prestigious school in math and science. And at that time there were not many Indian people in the country, but they were in this school, some young Indian people who were very puffed up and thinking they're so smart. And they approached Srila Prabhupada and saying that he's just come here and he's begging. And Prabhupada said, no, I came as a giver, giving Krishna consciousness, and I shall remain a giver. You come as a beggar, begging technology. You've come as a beggar and you shall remain a beggar. I don't know what those people are doing today. But that's what Prabhupada told me. Also one Indian. Prabhupada in America, he was very, very kind and understanding with Westerners who had some sincerity. But Indians who were, he was very heavy with Indian people, more than he was with the Westerners. They should know better. And then they're saying all this nonsense. one time some girl was, the woman was there. Everyone's bowing to Prabhupada. At that time, a lot of people had this philosophy that I'm God, you're God, we're all God. So she said that. And she said, why are you bowing down to him? We're all God. And Srila Prabhupada said, if we're all God, then why not bow down to me? That's the logic she had, so you should bowing down to God. But of course he's not seeing himself as God, but he's trying to get somebody to bow down because they'll make some advancement. Okay, I gotta get my glasses. It's really difficult when your nose keeps dripping. The Lord will immediately be extremely satisfied with one who engages in this service of preaching Krishna consciousness. When Prabhupada was here, he stressed book distribution more than anything else. But any kind of preaching, but he stressed it. And I just read this thing about Jadharani. She was an artist and painted a lot of books, painted a lot of paintings for the books. And she felt, because Prabhupada stressed book distribution, she wanted to go out on book distribution. So she asked Prabhupada if she can go out, because that's mainly, and Prabhupada said, no, you're supporting book distribution by, by painting pictures for the books. So it's not like every single person has to go out. But if you do go out, you could take a book and try and sell it. And you have to be thinking you're giving them knowledge. These people need this knowledge. Can't see everything. Okay. This is confirmed by the Lord Bhagavad Gita. Nachatasman manusheshu kaschin me kritamaha. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. That's like, I might say, I like mangoes. That's my favorite fruit. But I can't say that I'm never going to like another fruit better. With Krishna, who knows everything, he's saying that this is the most dear person to me who's approaching these innocent, even demons we're approaching. But once we find out they're demons, we don't waste another second with them, because that's preaching to the faithless. But we're preaching to people, and Krishna is saying, not only is it the dearest thing to me, but it's the dearest thing to me now and forever. There's nothing ever going to be better that please me more than this. Nothing ever. Nor will there ever be one more dear than he was preaching. So it's like, you want to please Krishna, you have to start doing, preaching. But book distribution is certainly what Prabhupada stresses, the best preaching. You give them a book. He said, what will your 30-minute talk do? But if they have a book, they take it home. And then at a certain time, Krishna's in their heart. Krishna is going to tell them when at a certain time, why don't you pick up this book? They may be distressed. They may be had some terrible thing happen in their life. And Krishna will direct them to the book, and then they read it. And then they see. And if they read any of it, they benefit. Even if they read, Prabhupada said, even one word, they benefit. So if one sincerely tries his best to spread Krishna consciousness by preaching the glories of the Lord, of the glories of the Lord and his supremacy, even if he is imperfectly educated, he becomes the dearmost servant. of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah, even if he's imperfectly educated. So, okay, I gotta take this one. It's like, just thinking maybe I should just shove a couple of tissues up my nose and then talk. But if he is educated, it's even better because then he can preach to the more educated people. He preach to, not that, I mean, we had Hansu,
Sadhguru.
what?
Sadhguru.
No, Hamsa Duda, yeah. I'm thinking of Hamsa Duda. I think he graduated high school, but I'm not sure. But he was in India, and there was some big thing in the newspaper about this big scientist who figured out that life comes from a combination of these amino acids. So Hamsa Duda, who wasn't even good at spelling, but he wrote to the newspaper and challenged this big scientist that I will supply the amino acids that you want, and I want you to create life. and the newspaper really got into it, and it was going back and forth, and he was just, because he has Prabhupada philosophies, he can talk to these big, real smart scientists, or so-called smart scientists. And Prabhupada was very pleased that he took on this scientist. So that's preaching, that's being bold, and anybody, I don't know if you know Jai Dvaita Swami, he is great at anybody challenges, he could defeat pretty much everybody. He's very good with logic, reason. He's editor, used to be editor for many, many years with BBT. I think he kind of retired from that. But he's super smart. He never graduated high school. He met Prabhupada, he quit high school. So you don't have to have a big degree, but if you do, sometimes, I remember in America, there was this one devotee who's an excellent preacher. And he probably graduated college, but he wasn't a PhD. And there were these PhDs that wanted to hear about Krishna consciousness from a PhD only. They don't want to hear from somebody less than that. That shows me the PhDs are so stupid because they're so puffed up that they won't hear from somebody who's got a degree less than them, or no degree at all, because what can they tell me? They're so foolish. Whereas a devotee or a great person, Prabhupada says, he can accept the truth even from an insignificant person. And lots of times an insignificant person can't accept the truth even from a great person. But a great person can accept the truth no matter where it's coming from. It doesn't have to be any particular, the truth is the truth. So anyway, they asked this group of PhDs, they have this doctor, a medical doctor, and he's a devotee. He's not as good of a preacher as this other person. This other person can explain everything so much better than the medical doctor. They said they will hear from the medical doctor. Just shows how foolish they are. You have to have, anyway, this is what our society is coming to. So if you do have a degree, the better degree you have, then other people may listen, but they may not listen because they're fools if you don't have such a degree. So it can be used in Krishna service. Utility is the principle, how to utilize everything in Krishna service. Prabhupada says 4 things. Preaching is the essence, books are the basis, utility is the principle, and purity is the force. That's really nice. In other words, you're preaching. If you're pure, that's the force that's going to succeed. Purity is the force, not some trick. But if you're pure at heart, then that's the force. Purity is the force. So books are the basis. Everything's based on Prabhupada's books. Preaching is the essence. It's like the best part. And then utility is the principle. Anything can be used in Krishna service. Prabhupada said even the atom bomb can be used in Krishna service. He did not elaborate on how it could be used, but he did say it could be used. And purity is the force. If you're pure, you'll be able to push on. You know, and I can tell you, as far as book distribution goes, you just have to keep going. Don't expect that, you know, after 10 people, no one takes a book and you get depressed. You have to go with the same enthusiasm as you did with the first person, or maybe more enthusiasm. Can't get discouraged, not just with book distribution, but my experience, because I was into book distribution, so was Jiva for many years, that if you're sweeping a floor and you're in Maya, you can still succeed in sweeping a floor. But if you're distributing books and you're in Maya, you're not going to do very well. Because it's like it forces you to surrender. You have to really surrender. So it's really good for everyone to go out and try book distribution. And just try and pray to Krishna. One time I was distributing and I wasn't doing very well. I was really getting upset with these people because they're just, nobody's taking books. And I was getting upset. And then I thought, let me take a break. And I just had one of the books I was distributing it. I opened it up and it said, a Brahmin is always peaceful. So what I did is I changed my goal. My goal was to distribute books, but now my goal was to remain peaceful while I'm trying to distribute books, not let people disturb my peace. I'd keep going, I'd be enthusiastic. They say no, I just go peacefully to the next person. And I did that, and then I started selling books, and I started doing really well on selling books just by not losing Krishna consciousness and get caught up in the material aspect of book distribution, but trying to remember Krishna, trying to be peaceful. Brahman is always peaceful. So there's different things, but it's all surrender. You really have to surrender. Krishna will tell you what you need to do. I mean, I just opened the book, it's the first thing I read. It's like, Krishna's definitely telling me this. You know, I wasn't peaceful. I was getting upset with these people. And we shouldn't. We just have to try, but not get upset with them when they say no, and just go to the next person. So that's a little something that I experienced in book distribution. I'm sure all of you have experienced times where you're getting upset because nobody's taking a book. But you can't. I mean, you could, and it's not going to help. You have to surrender to Krishna. You got to think of Krishna. And sometimes you need a little break. Take a little break, read a couple of pages, and then go back out. Okay. This is bhakti. As one performs this service for humanity, without discrimination between friends and enemies, the Lord becomes satisfied and the mission of one's life is fulfilled. Just go approach everyone. You know, I like this here. As one performs this service for humanity. We just read, where did I read it from? What verse? About Narayan. he appeared like when Brahma, in the day of Brahma, he appears like at the very beginning and he stays. This is Narayan, and he performs austerities. He's performing austerities for humanity. That's his whole reason. He's Narayan, but he's performing austerities to help humanity. And in so many places, we have to help humanity. You know, we know how to help humanity. There's other people who have these, you know, quick fix methods to, you know, who try to make money on saying some things that sound nice, but they don't do anything for you. Krishna consciousness is real, Krishna is real, and Krishna reciprocates with his devotees. He said, as you surrender unto me, I reward you accordingly. So if you surrender, and his reciprocation isn't like you're gonna get money, you're gonna get material things. His reciprocation is he'll let you know in your heart, in your mind, what he wants, how he's pleased with you, or what you should do. You know, you get some reciprocation. You can get reciprocation from the deities. You can treat the deities as persons and they can communicate with you. I find my experience, especially in the Holy Dham, with, you know, just in Mayapur, the Lord Chaitanya, the whole Panchatattva, Radha Madhava, Lord Sringadev. I'm a little afraid of Lord Sringadev, but he's kind to his devotees. But and in Vrindavan, you have Krishna Balaram, Radhe Shyam.
Shyamsundar, Lord Shyamsundar.
Yeah, and Gaunitai also. And I find in the Holy Dham, you get like answers or reciprocation, like immediately, more than you do in other places. That's my experience. You know, and this is if you're approaching them for Krishna consciousness, for becoming purified. I had one time in Vrindavan, I was a brahmachari, and on Radha Damodar party, and we came to India, almost the whole party came to India, and every devotee got 10 rupees for spending money for 6 weeks. My shoes were stolen. I went back in the airplane all the way to New York without any shoes because I had no money. And then this Ramacharya, who was a big book distributor and also he was the head, the Pujari for Radha Damodar. He told me, if you get some money, can you buy something, get a gift for Radha Damodar? And I said, yes. So out of my 10 rupees, I had to buy something for Radha Damodar. A rupee was worth a little bit more then, not much, but I think it was like 8 rupees to $1. Mm-hmm. So it was a little more than $1 for 6 weeks. So I think I bought one limca and that was it. But there was a devotee who was selling Mahaprasadam, and it's all really nice prasadam. And of course I had no money. And I started thinking, I wish I had an older brother, you know, somebody to buy me something. And then I start thinking that, I'm in Vrindavan, I should think of Krishna. And I thought, Krishna, he's my best friend. And I wasn't thinking of Krishna to buy me something, but I was thinking Krishna is my best friend. And I tried to focus my mind on Krishna because I'm in Vrindavan. And at that moment, this other devotee on Radha Damodar tells the person selling the Mahaprasadam, what's that one over there? And when the other devotee was selling it, looks over there, he took this big, wonderful sweet and he put it under his curtain. And then when the devotee told him, and he said, oh, okay, and then me and that devotee who stole it and another devotee, we walked away together. And then that devotee, he gave it to me and he said, you're the Brahmin, you split it up. So it seemed like Krishna stole that sweet because I really wanted a sweet so badly. So he stole it. And the Brahmins, he divides up the stolen sweets. But it's okay to steal prasadam. There's nothing wrong with taking prasadam. Jayananda, you probably heard of Jayananda from the Rath Yatras. He was the president of San Francisco Temple. They had no money, so he was driving a taxi. He was a college graduate. He was an engineer, but he didn't want to do that. He just drove a taxi, and he was making money to keep the temple open. And they'd make a plate for him of prasadam, and then someone would eat it. He didn't know it was for him, and he'd come back and it wasn't there. So he wrote to Srila Prabhupada, and he asked him, Srila Prabhupada, please tell him not to take my prasadam. And Prabhupada wrote back, I can tell them not to eat meat, I can tell them not to gamble, not to take intoxication, not to have illicit sex, but I can't tell them not to take prasadam.
There you go.
So at another time, the devotees were eating, and Prabhupada himself gave sweet bowl to all the devotees. So one devotee, he's saving it for at the end, which is what I would do also if I was in. And another devotee, before he gets to his sweet bowl, reaches over, takes the other devotee's sweet bowl, and eats it. And he says, Srila Prabhupada, he just stole my sweet bowl. And he says, and whatever his name was, Rishi is making very nice advancements. So there's no laws about stealing prasadam. It's perfectly okay. But the Krishna reciprocates anywhere, but I find in the Holy Dham it's more instantaneous than it is in other places. Okay. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore advised everyone to become a guru devotee and preach Krishna consciousness. Yare deka tare ka Krishna upadesh. This is the easiest way to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By such preaching, the preacher becomes satisfied, and those to whom he preaches are also satisfied. So the preacher who surrenders to this becomes satisfied. If you're not surrendered, if you're holding back, you got something else on your mind, and you may not be so satisfied. Because in book distribution in particular, you got to be completely absorbed. You got to really, you can't be thinking of anything else. There's like no room for Maya, which is a very wonderful opportunity to get out of Maya. You've got to try to surrender. In peace and tranquility to the entire world. And this verse, Bhoktaram Yagatapasam Savalakam Maheshwaram Suridam Savabhutanam Gyatramam Shantaguchati. This is the peace formula. Krishna, Prabhupada said it's the peace formula that if you see Krishna as the supreme proprietor, he owns everything. So therefore everything is meant for his enjoyment. And then he's also our best friend. That's where I got this, thinking of Krishna is my best friend, I just try to think of Krishna as my best friend, not Krishna my best friend, please get me a sweet. But I was trying to think of Krishna as my best friend, and then it came. He's the proprietor, he's the enjoyer, and he's our best friend. So your best friend owns everything. You don't have to go anywhere else. But generally, we don't ask them for anything material. You can ask them for, like, help me become a better devotee. Help me get free from lust and anger and greed. Help me, to advance. That's what we can ask for, not for material things. We shouldn't ask for material things. Although, even if you ask for material things, it's better to ask Krishna for material things than try to, ask somebody else or something. If you're asking Krishna, if you're going to Krishna, even for material things, you're still considered a devotee. But more neophyte, but you're still a devotee because you're going to Krishna. Okay. I don't know about the time. Anybody have any questions? Comments?
I was in San Francisco when Prabhupada gave sannyas to Guru Das.
Can this reach there? I don't know if it can reach there. Just because her voice is almost gone, and I'd like to be able to hear her.
1975. Anyway, when Prabhupada gave sannyas to Guru Das, and in the lecture he said that everyone should take sannyas. He said not necessarily formally like this, but by thinking of others' welfare. And that reminded me how in the purport you said, Lord Chaitanya said that everyone should become a guru. And not necessarily formally, but our attitude of wanting to help others. So the question would be, how can we become more compassionate and think of others' welfare? I know that there's the physical suffering. We see everybody suffering, disease, old age, and death. And mentally, there's so many people depressed today. But we know it's lack of Krishna consciousness. That's what everybody needs and wants. That's the only thing lacking, I think Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, in the world today, is Krishna consciousness. But how can we develop more of this mood of wanting to help others?
Well, I don't need the mic. I don't think you can hear me. Unless people are listening somewhere else. Yeah. What was your question? How can you be more compassionate?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's a formula for it. I think it's just sincerity. Everyone is. I think it's really important what you said, that we should see the only solution is Krishna consciousness. There is no other solution. People, even devotees, try to come up with some material way to make you happy, and they give some lectures about just mundane things. And it's none of that is really going to make you happy. There's no trick. It's just Krishna is the only thing that's going to make us happy. So you have to become very convinced about that, and then, okay, I'm convinced that Krishna is the only thing that's going to make me happy, but I don't want to, and I want to please Krishna, because that's what's making me happy. So how do I please him? By helping others. If we help others to become more Krishna conscious, that's pleasing Krishna. That's the best way to please Krishna, and there will never be a better way to please him. That's what he says, and he knows what he's talking about. So we have to just become more Krishna conscious. That's the only thing I can see, and automatically compassion will be there. You see people suffering. Prabhupada's seen people suffering who seemingly are happy, and he sees how they're suffering. Like my father told me one time that when I was interested in Krishna consciousness, it's the only time I think I ever had a talk with my father about anything. But I told him, I just want to be happy. And he said, nobody's happy. and I didn't think much of it at the time, but later I thought, he's right. All the people without Krishna consciousness or without God consciousness are not happy. So I thought that he was pretty observant, that because I never heard that from anybody, ever, that nobody's happy. But he was right, except for the devotees. And when I say devotees, you can even be a genuine, devotee of Jesus or some other bona fide religion, and you can still be devoted and you can still be happy. You may not go back to Godhead in this life, but you'll be making progress. You'll get at least a human life. It's not like we are the only ones, everyone else is in Maya. But we know, someone could be, this Satsu Maharaj answered this question once somebody asked about, he said, I don't remember the exact question, but someone could be a Christian more spiritually advanced than a devotee, but the devotee has an opportunity to understand everything. The Christian only can go so far, where the devotee can go further. Everything is there for you to go further. Hare Krishna devotee of Krishna. So I think we have to see people are suffering. Everybody's suffering. The famous people, they're suffering. The smartest people, they're suffering. There was that scientist who was in a wheelchair, and he was...
Hawking.
What?
Stephen Hawking.
Yeah, he was an atheist. And then I saw a cartoon after he died. He was in his wheelchair, and then there was the stairway to heaven.
Did you see that?
I saw it right after he died somewhere. Someone printed it. But it was nice. Sorry.
Well, this time when I was in Vrindavan, I was thinking about how the mood of the gopis is to push others forward.
Yeah.
Even Radharani, just look how
Right.
wonderful this person is. And Lord Chaitanya, there, Gopi, Bhartur, Kamalur, Das, 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 Das. That means serving everybody. Everybody's a devotee ultimately, but serving those who have strayed too. Pushing them forward.
Right.
So that's the proper.
Okay, what G was saying is in
Vrindavan.
was it Vrindavan?
Yeah,
Okay.
for the ultimate thinking.
Right, that Lord, okay, let me just, you can say it way better than I can. My mind is,
I don't know if everybody heard.
well, there's people who can't hear, they're not even here.
I was saying I was in Vrindavan before the altar, and I was thinking how the mood of the gopis, which we are supposed to aspire for, is to push others forward towards Krishna. Even Radharani, she was saying, look how wonderful this devotee is, even better than me, push towards Krishna. And Mahaprabhu says, we are Gopi, Bhartur, Parikamalora, Dasa, 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 Dasa. So that means we're servant of everyone, because everyone is a part and parcel of Krishna, eternal servant of Krishna. So we should try to push others forward to Krishna, towards Krishna. And that is fulfilling our purpose. That is the mood of the gopis. What?
Confirm.
That's a little confirmation.
That's what Srila Prabhupada is written in Bhagavad Gita 5.7. Yogi Utsa Vishuddhatma Viditatma Jitendriya. So there it is also Srila Prabhupada is writing. Because a devotee is servant of everyone, that's why he is dear to everyone. He doesn't want to comment often. So very nicely all this Prabhupada is quoted there.
But that's how we can best serve others. Not necessarily pushing them towards Krishna.
There was some challenge in probably in America or Australia about to Prabhupada that, you're big cool, you're this big, and Prabhupada says, no, I'm the lowest. I'm fifth class. Because I'm serving all the others classes. He said he's fifth class. What? Right, they were trying to find fault. He also told them at one point that not to bring these big Vyasasans because he's preaching to the Westerners and they see him in this big chair. They think, who's this guy? We're not like humble Indians. So rather than him have a big chair, let me just sit down in a regular chair so that people can listen. If me being in a Vyasa sign is stopping people from needed. His main mission is to preach, and he wanted to do it any way, whatever was best. He was, well, this is just something I just read. You read it too after I read it. They're serving Prabhupada. I don't even remember what temple they were in, but it was. And one devotee asked Prabhupada, should I want to go back to Godhead or should I be like Lord Chaitanya and Prahlad Maharaj and just be satisfied with just doing service? And Prabhupada says, you're not Prahlad Maharaj or Lord Chaitanya. You should want to go back to Godhead. So we have to do what we have to do. In this case, and they enjoyed it that I was defeating him one thing after another, because there's so many things okay, let's start with Jesus is real. He can also bring you to Krishna. He's a representative of God. They don't know, he knows who God is, but his followers don't. But there was a sign I saw on a bumper sticker. You know what a bumper sticker is? I know you know, you're in America. You know the bumper on a car? You know what a bumper is?
Yeah.
You don't know what a bumper is?
Backside.
They have a bumper in the front and in the back.
Something is there, plastic.
What?
Black colored rubber. Yeah, he knows.
Something, yes.
Yes,
Sort of, I
something.
know.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, in America, they have stickers lots of times on their cars, on their bumpers. I guess so you don't get bored while you're driving. But anyway, one sticker said, "Please, Jesus, protect me from your followers." Anyway, that was one time. Another time I got arrested, and I'm just starting with the arrest things because that came up. And they handcuffed me behind my back, and then I got out of the handcuffs. But then I thought, if I get out of the handcuffs, they're going to get angry. So I put my hand back into the handcuffs. But that was another thing. Another time we were arrested, and there was a lot of us arrested, both Boston devotees and New York devotees, and we were all in the same cell, and they gave this devotee Nitai, who was a good devotee at the time, but then became a snake. He gave class, he knew Sanskrit, he was very educated. Prabhupada said his problem was he read too many books. You read all different books because you know Sanskrit, and then you just get all mixed up. Just read Prabhupada's books, or Prabhupada's devotees' books, or books of the six Goswamis, but even that you may misunderstand. But in any case, he gave class. It was real nice. And then one person who was a lawyer, he got us out of jail because he was previously was given prasadam. He's had prasadam several times from the devotees. So he liked the devotees, and he helped us to get out of jail. Okay, so now other stories.
Tell them about the incense.
The what?
The incense.
Oh, that's a good story, yeah. We used to give a stick of incense to people. Here, we're passing these out just to stop them. We give them a free stick of incense, and we say, "Oh, let me show you this book," and then we show them the book. So there was about 6 of us, and the police brought us, all of us, into the police station. They put us in a room, and we're sitting down, and they don't tell us anything. It was unusual. Normally you just get arrested, they book you, they take a picture, they fingerprints, whatever. But this time was a little different, and they were just in the room, and they're not saying anything. So we're just waiting. Then finally, somebody comes back in, and then they tell us why we were arrested. Because we gave out the incense stick. They had the incense stick sent to a lab to test it, what's in that incense stick. Because one lady, she said that they gave me this stick, they put this stick up to my nose, and the next thing I knew, I had this book, and I gave them $10. So there's something in this stick that just made me forget everything, and I got $10. And I have this book. It was like the devotees so enthusiastic, they don't remember even how they got the book, and they gave $10. So when they found out that it was just incense, they let us go. They didn't arrest us. Yeah, so that was really nice. It showed how enthusiastic the devotees are and how stupid that lady is. One time, Ramacharya, who later became the Pujari for Radha, we got kicked out of town. So lots of times they kick you out, you have to leave, and if you don't leave, then they arrest you. So they usually give you a warning. So we got kicked out of this town, we got kicked out of another town, and we haven't done hardly any Sankirtan, any book distribution all day. And we're driving on the highway 50 miles an hour. That's about how much it's...
65 kilometers, 70 kilometers.
Okay, driving down the highway 60, 70 kilometers. And I'm driving, Ramacharya is in the passenger seat, and all the devotees are in the back of the van. The back of the van, we have a platform. We built a platform. It's about this high, and we sleep on the platform, and underneath is our books and our cooking stuff, whatever we need. So he's sitting in, and he's reading a book while he's sitting there, and then there's a car. I don't know how he did this, and I don't think anybody else ever did this, driving at 70 kilometers an hour. He starts talking to this guy and showing him the book. He's driving the car, and he's talking, and I'm watching. I'm a good driver. I'm just keeping up exactly with this car so that he can talk. And then after a few minutes, he tells me, pull over. So I pull over. The guy pulls over. He gives him the book, and he gets, I don't know, $5 or $10 from the guy. So, because he so much wanted to distribute books, and we kept getting kicked out of places. So he distributed a book while we were driving down the highway. And that was in Florida. So, yeah, Ramacharya was his name. I don't know where he is anymore.
He's the same one with the...
No, that's Prabhupada. That's another devotee. They're on my party. We rent a hotel room, and there's a table, and he puts the stove on this table. I said, no, it wasn't a table. It was a chair, like a round chair that had no back or anything. It was made of like I don't know what it was made of. And I told him, don't put it on there because it's gonna burn. And he said, no, it'll be fine. I said, okay, and anyway, he burnt the chair. Then the people from the hotel came, and they found the burnt chair, and they wanted so much money for it and stuff. And this devotee's name is Prabhupada. He was our cook, and he also did Sankirtan. Of course, all the cooks did Sankirtan. You're not just a cook. You have to do Sankirtan if you're traveling Sankirtan. So I gave him something like $25, and because they wanted like $100 for this chair, and I didn't think it was worth $100. I gave Prabhupada $25. I said, you deal with it. I'll meet you tonight at the mall. The mall is like 10 blocks away from where the hotel was, so he could walk there. So I left, and I'm doing Sankirtan. Then it's time for me to pick him up, and I pick him up. And he has all this money that he collected. And I said, where'd you get it? Because he didn't have any books, he didn't have any incense, he had no paraphernalia to distribute. And he comes back with all this money. I said, where did you get it? He said, I was distributing leaves and rocks. He said, I would give him a leaf. He said, here, we're passing these out. They're falling off the trees, and we're passing these out to everybody. And he'd give him a leaf, and then he'd somehow ask him for a donation. And I said, well, what were the rocks for? He said, if there was 2 people, the other one I gave a rock. And Prabhupada is in Los Angeles till now, and he's still doing book distribution. He's in his 70s, 70-something, I don't know, but he still goes out and does book distribution. He's like, really, he can sell anything. Enthusiasm, just. Anyway, let's see. There was another one she mentioned. Did you mention something else before? I mean, most of the time we just go and we would go to drive-in movies. You know what a drive-in movie is?
Yes.
You know what a movie is? Oh, you guys are too pure. You know a movie theater?
Yeah.
Okay. But in America, they have movie theaters, but they also have drive-in movies. You drive your car in. You sit in your car, and there's a huge screen, and you watch a movie. They have, next to the cars, they have a speaker, and you put that on your window, and you watch the movie. So somebody found out that these were really good for distributing books. So, well, not for distributing books so much, mainly giving out incense and collecting money. So we'd go and do drive-in movies, which was very profitable. And then we could give the books out later for less money. Because we had to get, like for a big book, we had to get $5 at least. But if you make your quota, this was the whole Tomo Krishna Maharaj's organization on Radha Damodar. Say, for instance, I have to collect $100 a day, and I can give out 20 books, 20 big books. But after I collect $100, every big book I give out then is for $2.50, which is like the cost. So then you can give out books much cheaper. After you make your quota. So when we go to the drive-ins, that's also late at night when everything else is like closing. So we'd go to the drive-ins and we'd collect money. And there was different things that happened in drive-ins. I was there once, and I hear loudspeaker, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. I'm looking around, and I see it's in the movie. It was in the movie, and then I thought, what? Then I started watching the movie a little bit, because I'm wondering, what is this about? But it was about somebody, I don't know what the movie was, but it was about somebody trying all different things, trying this yoga and that yoga, and they also tried Hare Krishna. So that was, it scared me at first, because I thought they found us and they're kicking us out. Yes.
So when we are distributing books, Prabhu, so our goal should be to give them Krishna consciousness via book. So in order to give book, can we lie sometimes small?
Well, Prabhupada said, by hook or by crook, give him a book. So we went too far. Maybe we just said so many things like, $1 feeds a child in Bangladesh for a day. When we collect money. And Prabhupada said, if you do that, then you have to send the money to Bangladesh. So we stopped doing that. We never sent the money to Bangladesh, but we were collecting money not honestly. And better, see, when Prabhupada said that, we're Americans, we took it to the limit. By hook or by crook, that means we can do anything. And it was just like, if you have to tell some little thing, maybe that may be okay.
Sometimes we tell that we are building new temple. New temple we are building, so please take this book. In that way, he gives more donation cost more.
Because you are.
If you're building a new temple, if you're giving them money towards the new temple.
Yeah.
But otherwise
I
you
think
should.
one is to cheat people. Paul was talking to Prabhupada about book distribution. Prabhupada asked him, do you know what book distribution means?
Yes.
And I think he didn't
He
answer.
said, yeah.
Prabhupada said, you're distributing knowledge, you're giving them knowledge.
There's another mic. They're trying to steal my mic. Yeah, anyway, Gopal Paul, Prabhupada, he was talking about book distribution of Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, do you know what book distribution means? And I'm saying this mainly for anyone else who didn't hear. And he didn't answer, we think he didn't answer. But Prabhupada says book distribution means you're distributing knowledge. So you have to be thinking that's what we're doing, we're distributing knowledge. Let's see. One time, I had a lot of one times like this, but I wasn't doing anything on book distribution, and I was kind of fried. You know, it's like your book bag weighs like 150 pounds or kilos. It says everything. I can't move. I'm not moving. Anyway, and then I remembered something that Prabhupada said. Someone asked Prabhupada, how do you become enthusiastic? And Prabhupada said, by acting enthusiastic. So I was in a lot of plays, not in Krishna consciousness, before Krishna consciousness. In school I may have been in one or two plays. But in Krishna consciousness I was in a lot of plays. And I know that when I'm acting, if I'm acting like Narada Muni, I think I am Narada Muni. You have to you have to think that way in order to act. You can't be, I'm just acting like Narada Muni. No, I am Narada Muni, or I am Lord Vishnu, or I am Krishna, whatever part you're playing, because then you can feel it better how you're supposed to, what you think Krishna would be like. You know, anyway, it's not that you walk out after the play and you're still thinking, it's just like a mental preparation in order so that you can act. So when I remembered, Prabhupada said, by acting enthusiastic, I decided that I am the most enthusiastic person in the whole world. And then I started running around, and people say no, and I run to the next person, no, and I run to, and I just keep running. I was so enthusiastic. And then after a while, I started selling books. People started buying the books. And I started laughing because all I'm doing is acting. I'm just acting like I'm enthusiastic. I wasn't enthusiastic. But you do become enthusiastic by just acting enthusiastic. Like when it's time for dancing, you know. Oh, I don't feel like that. If you start dancing, you feel like dancing, you know. It's just, so if you act enthusiastic, if you don't feel it, just act like you are. You know, and then I did really good. And then I raised it up. I was no longer the most enthusiastic person in the whole world. Then I became the most enthusiastic person in all three worlds. And then I went even faster and tried harder, and it really did work. I'm not saying it's going to work all the time, but if you're down and out and you can't do it, try that. Try to act enthusiastic. That's all. You really got to, I think to me, the biggest problem in book distribution is when you're getting no results and you get affected by it. You can't get affected by it. You just keep going. You keep going. You know, you have to think, I have to approach 100 people. I have to approach 100 people enthusiastically. You know, I have to, and within 100, one person's going to take a book. So I have to go as fast as I can to each person and try hard with each person. Don't get into a big conversation that they just drain your energy. Just kind of quick. Should have some. Just show them the book and see what they think. We have one lady. She got a book. We stayed in the town for about maybe a week or so. I think it was Orlando. It was a big town. So there's a lot of places you can go. And, get them up. Anyway, one lady came back after she got a book, and she said that this book puts all the pieces of the puzzle together. You know, if you understand puzzles, you might understand that. You know, it just explains everything there is to know. So people appreciate the books. Not everybody appreciates them. I had another person once, it was we had permission to do in front of a zoo. You know what a zoo is, right? Animals. So this one, I don't know if it was a lady or a man, whatever, because I think it was a lady. I'm showing her the book, I'm kind of selling her the you know, and I told her, she said, how much? And I said, just anything you want to give. Whatever you want to give is fine, you know. And then she went to a person, she gave me a nickel, which is like 1 pice, you know, it's actually more than 1 pice, maybe 10 pice. But she gave me a nickel. And then I knew she works in the zoo and she doesn't like us here, and so I said, thank you very much. And then I went to the next person. And then I don't know if I sold the book to the next person or not, but then I turned to watch, which I knew she's going to throw it away. And then I saw she threw it in the trash, so I ran up there and I got it out. And when I got it out, she looked back and I went like that. But you know, so you can't get depressed when people do something like that. You just keep going. But it was nice because Krishna had to turn around when I just took it out. Got my book back. And also her nickel. Where else? There's so many things I just can't think of them. One time, we started, because we get arrested so many times, we started going to the mayor's office, the mayor of the town, and see if we can get permission to distribute books. So I went to this one mayor. Now, you may not know this, but there's this, what are they called, Jiva? These people, they wear these rings.
Masons?
Masons. You ever heard of the Masons? Anyway, you've heard of the Masons.
Mason.
Most U.S. presidents, almost all of them, maybe not the recent ones, were Masons. Masons were, there's like a club. Our Brooklyn temple that they have now used to be a Masons temple or organization. We bought it and now it's a temple. But anyway, the Masons, we found out, have some different codes when they talk to each other, like secret things. I don't know what devotees found out, but when they did, all the devotees know. So when you meet a Mason, you can say this. Because we don't know much about the Masons, a Blue Lodger is someone who's like just joined the Masons recently. So we were all younger, so we'd say, oh, my father is a Blue Lodger, you know. So we relate to the Masons. They all are very professional. They have a lot of money. Masons they have hospitals they open. But, so we learned how to talk to them. So I go into, what? Do you know what the Mason, you have a question?
No.
You don't understand? Okay. So you don't have to know what the Masons are exactly, but it's a group of, it's almost like a club, and they have rituals and they do stuff. It's not religion. It's not a religion. But, so anyway, but although they may call their place a temple, the Mason temple, and they got this sign. They also, when you high up in the Masons, you get a ring, and I think it says 21 or something, or 22 or something on it. And anyway, so I went to one mayor, and this mayor's secretary said he's not going to give you permission. He never gives anyone permission, to solicit. So you're just wasting your time. I said, I'd like to ask you. And she said, oh, you will come. She brought me into the mayor. I saw he had one of these rings. And there's another saying they have, I see you've been to the East. That means I can say this in front of other people and they don't know what we're talking about. I see you've been to the East. And then he said, yes, I've been to the East, and I've also been to, and he mentioned something else that he'd been. And I said, we have some books from the East, and we'd like to know if we can distribute them. And he says, yes, no problem, you can distribute the books. And the lady, she's like, he never does this. So we just knew little secret sayings they say, and somehow or other it worked. I see it's 10 o'clock. Okay, is there anything else? So it's very late. Anyway, thank you, Hare Krishna. And my nose seemed to stop dripping a lot more when I started talking about Sankirtan.
Haribol! Jai Prabhupada. Hg Pyari Mohan Prabhu ki, Hare Krishna Jiva ki.